Welcome to another episode of State of the Wizards. This is episode 46. I'm your host, D-Can, along with my co-host, K Jose. K Jose, what's going on, brother?
Nothing much, my dude. Wizards get their first win last night, so I'm feeling pretty good, and we definitely going to discuss about that dub by the home team.
Absolutely, man. It was impressive last night, I must say. So tonight, we're going to discuss the Wizards' impressive first win of the season versus the Hawks. What did you like about the win? What stood out? And is Keith doing a good job so far balancing playing time between the vets and the young guys? Find out next on State of the Wizards. Before we get started, if this is your first time tuning into the channel, thank you. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me at Wizards Mafia and follow K Jose at DC Hoopla on X app. Also, please follow us at State of the Wiz on Instagram and State of the Wiz on X app. All right, my dude, let's get started. My first question for you tonight. The Wizards impressed versus Atlanta with a 121-119 victory. Were you surprised by the effort and how well the young team played as a whole? What stood out to you, my dude?
Absolutely, I was surprised. Normally, we lose those games to Atlanta. Atlanta has been a thorn in our ass for almost a decade. I was just thinking about it earlier today. 2 years ago, even 3 years ago, we would have lost that game to that Atlanta Hawks team. So what was actually impressive was the perimeter defense, the defense in general. Bilal Coulibaly playing solid. I mean, not even solid, excellent defense against Trae Young, who's a player who's been a thorn in our ass. Sarr actually making his defensive presence known. So Keyshawn George making defensive plays. So the defense is what's been solid. And usually when we talk about the Wizards and defense, that's almost non-existent. So I would have to say the defense last night is what impressed me. When it was time to get a bucket, they got a bucket when they needed to. Poole has been playing well, 26 points, bulletproof. I'm not going to trash him. He had 25, 11, and 7. Bilal, he had 17. Didn't shoot too well from the field. 5 for 12 from the field, 1 for 5 from downtown, but he missed only one free throw. He went 6 for 7 from the free throw line. But the defense that he played on Trae Young, I mean, come on, my dude. Trae Young's numbers look like the month of February. 2 for 15 from the field, 2 for 10. That's like somebody's birthday. He might have had 13 assists, but I mean, come on. He literally had to work for the 14 points he had. Bilal, I mean, again, I just can't talk enough about the defense from the team last night. I haven't seen perimeter defense like that in ever when it comes down to what's like ever.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I'll be honest. I was taken aback by that game because I was for sure thinking, man, this is gonna be a loss. You know what I'm saying? I kind of chalked it up like, yeah, they're going to lose this game. We have a history of not playing well in Atlanta as it is, right?
Right.
So, last night, I immediately said to myself, I said, well, they're hanging around. So if you allow this team to hang around long enough, they're going to take advantage, of the pace of the game. I'm so used to Atlanta going on these runs, these 8-0, 9-0, 10-0 runs. I was for sure thinking, when they got that 10-point lead, I think it was around 60. I think it was 60 to 50 at that time. I was for sure thinking, yeah, they're going to run away with this.
Yeah, I mean, again, I thought that too. And what was even more impressive about last night's win, we actually finished the game with Bilal, Poole. I mean, we finished the game with Bilal. It was Poole. I think Bub was in the game. Sarr was in the game. I mean, Bulletproof wasn't even in the game.
Right.
So we finished the game without him. Again, I mean, I was just impressed with how this team didn't give up. If anything, when I'm sitting there looking at Atlanta, I said, okay, they need to make a decision of what direction they want to go in. And to be honest with you, they should actually rebuild. But I definitely was feeling like last night I was expecting us to lose. And I wouldn't have been mad if we lost the game because it's not about wins and losses. But the way that they step up to the plate, Bilal taking the opportunity, him actually saying, hey, I want to guard the best player on the Hawks. He did that. I mean, it was an impressive win, very impressive win. I think this team is they're going to do that throughout the season where they're going to have impressive wins, and we got to take them as they come. But I'm starting to see growth from Bilal, and that's all you can ask for. You want to see growth from Bilal, and we're starting to see that. Kispert is getting better, and then with the young guys that we have this year's draft picks, these guys don't look like they're going to just be role players. They're just kind of like put into a position and you're just hoping that maybe something will turn out. I think these three guys will actually grow into something. So I was very happy with the team last night.
Yeah. So let me do my full, assessment of last night's game. So basically, first and foremost, I know you call him bulletproof. Kyle Kuzma played the most minutes. I think he played 40 minutes. He put up 25. He shot fairly decent from the field. Alex Sarr played 27 minutes. He had 9 rebounds, 7 points. Jonas Valanciunas played 22 minutes, 9 rebounds, 7 points. He kind of split that production with Alex Sarr.
Right.
And Bilal, 17 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. And Jordan Poole, 26 points, played 33 minutes. Corey Kispert, 34 minutes, 21 points. Bub, 13 points, 21 minutes. Keyshawn played 22 minutes and only scored 3 points. But, that 3-point bucket actually gave us a momentum swing. So These guys were hitting big shot after big shot late in the game. And let me say this, man. I noticed that, Keith is doing a great job. We're going to cover this in the segment, but Keith is doing a great job balancing the minutes between the young guys and the veteran guys. Now, granted, we have some injuries, of course, that we're working with. Malcolm Brogdon's out as well. And I'm sure, that'll be, something to look at later on, whose minutes are actually going to get cut during that time. But, I'm actually very, very impressed that these young guys in just the third game this season that they've played together, they actually look pretty good together, playing as a cohesive unit.
Right.
Of course, I said Alex Sarr last night didn't really have a good game, and I'll expound on that later on in this podcast. But you're seeing production from everyone. And that's what got the win last night. Not one person stood out. Like I said to you before, and other sidebar conversations between you and I, there's not one particular star on this team. There's not one that stands out. So you're going to need more effort from guys and have more games like this throughout the season, if you want to see positive results. And so I personally just love the way the game flowed for the Wizards last night when you had that mix of young guys coming in, contributing at a very high level. I'm like, damn, man, like Bilal is a closer, is he not? Like, is it just me? Or is he, he had the ball in his hands late. He ran a couple of those, was that the high pick and roll play where he had the defender on the side and he went to the basket and he drew a couple of fouls. He even got a floater to go. I mean, and this is late in the game that we're relying on Bilal Coulibaly in just his second year. We're relying on him late to score and to make a difference in the game. I mean, what a great impactful player at his age. What would you say to that, my dude?
Shout out to Will Dawkins. That's a guy who did his homework. He's now showing you, Bilal is showing you why Will Dawkins took the gamble on him last year. As you and I already know, A lot of people wasn't too happy about it. People wanted Cam Whitmore, and rightfully so. But when you're looking at Bilal, at what he's doing, like I'm seeing people saying, tell me this guy doesn't look like he can be the next Kawhi Leonard. I'm not going to say that just yet, but I get why people are saying that. But the potential in this guy at 20 years old, sky's the limit for him, man. You can tell that he's grown some muscle. You can see that he's finishing with contact. That was something he wasn't doing last year. He's doing that this year. He's bringing the ball up the court now. Okay, like he's now bringing the ball up the court. That's not something we was expecting to see from him. I guess this is the reason why you're starting to see people say, okay, well, what we're seeing in second year Bilal is what we didn't see in second year Denny. You knew that conversation was going to come, and it's going to continue to come as time grows. But the fact that Keith trusted the young guys in a crucial moment in the game, in the clutch, says a lot. It says a lot. So
absolutely.
I like that. I actually like that.
I love it. I love it. Damn it.
Yeah, he's not giving up on these dudes. He's not giving up on these guys. And that's what we want to see. How are these guys going to grow if you're pulling them out when they make a mistake? Let these kids play through their mistakes. That's how they learn. So it paid off last night. Again, Bilal playing the defense he played on Trae Young. I mean, come on, he was sticking into that dude like flies to shit.
I tell you, man, I love it. I mean, you know, Keith right now, I think he's getting the best out of some of these guys. I can see it, you know, and you know, we'll segue into one of the other questions that I have for you regarding our big man, of course. But so far, I'm seeing responding actions, responding play. I mean, Jordan Poole at the point guard position so far has picked up his defense, has you know, he has shot within the offense. He hasn't really shot, you know, ill-advised. I think that, you know, he's playing with the good flow right now. It's different than how it was last season where, you know, he wanted to heat check every other possession, you know, and he wanted to, you know, kind of, you know, test those waters of whether or not I'm truly the guy here in Washington or not. And I don't think he has that. I don't think he's carrying that on his shoulders this season. I think Keith is kind of just telling him, hey, just go out there and play your game.
Right.
And the results will show. And I really appreciate that.
Right.
So let's segue into what I wanted to talk to you about. My next question to you would be, you know, what should Alex Sarr's focus be this season? You know, speaking to how well guys are playing, and then we're trying to find, you know, his niche within the offense, and we're trying to find his role within the team. I know a lot of people are saying, you know, Evan Mobley. You know, we just look at him as a defensive guy. We just want him to be the defensive guy. So my question to you, K. Jose, what should Alex Sarr's focus be this season? Improving as a better pro defender or developing an offensive game? What you got?
I think he should focus on developing as a two-way player. I know people say Evan Mobley. I know people said LaMarcus Aldridge. The player that I said is KG. I said, give him film of KG. Tell him to watch KG. The reason why, because KG was about the same height, 7'1". It's kind of skinny, 25 and 10, well, 20, 10, and 5. KG was the type of player that will play outside. Now, the only thing that Sarr has over KG is it seems like he's a better three-point shooter than KG, even though I had to look at Sarr's percentage so far this year. I see what you're saying, but I'm just saying if the plan is to, we know defensively Sarr's there. However, there can be some improvement even on defense for Sarr, because there are times when the opponent goes into the paint and it seems like he mistimed his jump and they still score on him. So even though some teams are looking for where he is, Sarr is still not that defensive anchor that I would like for him to be. And that is whenever somebody goes to that paint, they're looking for him. He's guaranteed to either alter the shot or he's going to block the shot. But offensively, I think that you either have him study Kevin Garnett or maybe a LaMarcus Aldridge. You have to have him do that. Now, here's the reason why I say that, because Sarr is a different type of big man. For one, how many times have you seen Sarr get the rebound and he's getting ready to run down the court, but then he thinks about, let me pass it off to the guard. Sarr is ready to run that. He's ready to run the fast break. So should we tell him, no, you shouldn't do that? Or should we explore him to actually run that fast break? I think that the sky's the limit for Sarr.
I'll put it this way, man. I think that Sarr has to realize that we have floor pushers. We have rim runners. Okay. You know, when you get that rebound, find your guard. Get him the ball immediately. And then you run the floor and your guard will find you. I get this sense that Sarr has probably been the best player on his teams for a long time, right? But when you get to the pro level, you have to be able to identify on the floor who's the guy that needs the ball in their hands, who's the guy who should have their ball in their hands. There's no need for you to dribble up the court. I don't think that, because let's call it what it is. There's a certain generation, or I would say there is this generation anyway, who all the big men, they want to be Kevin Durant. They don't want to be Kevin Garnett. They want to be Kevin Durant. So they get the rebound and they're immediately go. You know, and for somebody like Sarr, he'll have to adjust to the pro level where when you get that rebound, find the guard and then start the offense. You know, get in your sets, learn the rhythm, learn the pace of the game. And that's what you can kind of see it, because my thing is with Sarr is that he sometimes can get caught into, you know, the pace of the game being too fast for him. And you can kind of see it. You know, he's not rotating fast enough on defense sometimes. Sometimes he lets the ball handler dribble right past him. And it's like, wait a minute, that's you on the switch. You got to pick that man up.
Yeah.
There's been times where he's been very, very, I won't say negligent, but more so reluctant to really step out when he's caught in the switch. So he's getting out on the shooter late. So he needs to work on that. And I'm just talking about defensive flaws now. I'm not saying that. Granted, he stopped a lot of the Hawks players from wanting to come into that paint. So he was a paint presence. You know, he definitely had 2 blocks last night, right? He had 9 rebounds. So it wasn't like he wasn't a presence in the paint. He definitely was a presence. He just wasn't a force. There's a difference. Okay. Being a presence and being a force is 2 totally different things. And I just got this sense last night, like, well, he's not there yet as a force, because while teams do respect that he's in there, they're not reluctant to shoot over him. They're not reluctant to attack him. He just makes up ground very quickly.
Right.
So if somebody is on a pick and roll and they roll to the basket, you know, Sarr just makes up ground fairly quickly, but you still got beat. You still need to slide. You still need to be there. And the pace of the game, you know, is kind of the point that I'm getting at, that he just needs to catch up. Once he catches up and he gets the flow down, I think he'll be fine. Now, let me make the opposite argument. On the opposite end, he's taking too many 3-point shots. That's not falling.
Right.
He needs a rhythm. So last night, what did I say on our previous pod? I said on a previous episode, I said he needs to get in that paint, get a couple of looks, get a couple layups, get going. Well, last night, my dude, he blew a couple layups.
Right.
2 or 3 around the rim. And, you know, it just can't happen. You know, you're a big man. You got to flush that. Don't go up soft, go up strong. So so the point that I'm making to this question is, I think that since we're talking about development, Sarr needs to focus on developing a part of his game that has a huge, larger flaw than the other end of his game. Because I think we can all agree, Sarr is a defensive player first. He's a presence, but he's not a force. That will improve with time. But right now, you need to focus on getting your offensive game going. Because the only way you're really going to be respectable in the league is if you, like you said, you become that two-way player. You need to be able to do it on both ends of the court.
Okay. So you said a lot. And some of it that you said, I agree with. That only thing that I would probably challenge is when you said he gets the rebound and he should look for the guard to pass it off to. Now, we've seen guys like, and I hate to bring up these guys because I know what the next argument, but he's not those guys. And so I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. The names I'm going to mention, no, he's not those guys. But there's a reason why I'm mentioning these guys. So we've seen Jokic get the rebound. He's going down the court. We've seen Joel Embiid get the rebound. He's going down the court. We're seeing Victor doing the exact same thing. Victor Wembanyama. Now, Sarr is doing it. We've seen it a few times that Sarr did it during the summer league. Sarr can handle the ball like a guard as well. But I don't think we should take that away from him. Maybe he needs to perfect that. Let's put it that way. I would say let him perfect that, but not completely take it away from him at this moment.
But
now,
what is he doing though?
Well, for one, I guess he's trying to create a play. At the end of the day, even if he's hitting the ball in that post, he's going to be sitting there trying to create it. How often are we going to see him hit that turnaround fadeaway shot? To be honest with you, I didn't even know he had that in him. I never knew he had it. But how often did anybody even know he had that in him?
Well, that's kind of my point. If he proves that he can hit shots on the inside,
right?
We're having a completely different discussion.
But let me ask you this:
if he can be a block presence, I don't even need you to be in the paint. Just be on the block. Just be somebody within the mid range. If you can prove that you can hit that shot on a consistent basis, we're having a completely different discussion.
I get that, and you're right. But here's the thing: the way the NBA is now, that style of play, nobody wants to look at that anymore. The playing in the low block, doing a soft hook shot, bank shot. Nobody wants to look at that anymore. They're looking at when you got guys like Victor Wembanyama, when you got your Porzingis facing up towards the basket, it's shooting a long two or even shooting a three. That's pretty much what people want to see. I was just thinking about it earlier. You can't even go back to the days when the low post players calling for the basketball so he can back his defender down because they're going to call 5 seconds. Sometimes they call 3 seconds. They taking that away.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying he needs to be in the paint dribbling for 5, 10 seconds. I'm not saying that. Right. What I'm saying is that in order for us to be able to see other portions of your game, all right, there's a bunch of different block plays. You got pick and roll, you got pick and pop, you got you got a bunch of different plays where he can be out, on the baseline where he's kind of waiting for that ball handler to get to the weak side with it, and then he dishes it off maybe on an alley-oop or something. We need to see something. We need to see, right, because we're not talking about him dribbling at the top of the key, because really that's who he wants to be. I see it. I do see it. He really wants to be that hybrid 4, where he's out there with the rock. He's dribbling, and sometimes he gets caught up in maybe dribbling too much. So then he picks his dribble up. It's only 12 seconds left in the shot clock. He's giving it to one of the guards by then. And, there's no play for him. He's out of the play now. Now it's forcing somebody else to take a bad shot late into the shot clock. My dude, we have to find a role that makes sense for him in this offense as a big man. If you're going to be a stretch big, then you have to be able to rely on the guard to make those plays for you. You're not Kevin Durant. So taking away the dribble from you is not a big deal because you're not that type of player. But you can still be the pick and roll guy. You can still be the pick and pop guy. Hell, at times, if you want to stand out at the 3-point line, by all means, stand out there. But at least be respectable because teams are going to allow you to shoot if you're not making that shot.
Okay. So I think everything you said is the reason why he wanted to become a Wizard, because if he was in Atlanta, that would be a problem. So I think Sarr knows what his weaknesses are, and he felt that this situation was the best situation for him to improve on those weaknesses.
I mean, that's a good
However,
point.
you have to hold the coaching staff accountable to see to it that he does develop and perfect those weaknesses. So really, it's to make him a lob threat. But who's gonna throw him that alley oop? Is that even being worked on? We don't know. It doesn't look like it, but hopefully that will happen at some point. It's not just him.
There's a play that I do like that I think that they should keep and they should continue to implement. It's obviously that play where Bub kind of, he gets into that mid-range area, and then sometimes Sarr will roll to the basket, and then it's all about finding Sarr when he cuts, right? Because he's standing outside. And if Bub can, kind of, I don't know, if Bub can find a way to make that play a bread and butter between him and Sarr, I think that, it can start to show exactly what it is that we see in Sarr as a big man. If he gets the ball, he needs to catch it first. You need to be able to catch it, and make plays, because there's been times where Bub has found him on the cut and he loses the ball. He gets the ball knocked out of his hands. He needs to strengthen up there.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that there's certain plays that you can design and that you can draw up for him that will work for him, where, it shows that he's impacting the game in that way. But again, I have to kind of just go back for a second, just stress one more time that if we're talking about development, we can't just write off the fact that Sarr isn't an offensive player and he's only a defensive player.
Right.
Because the defensive side is a given. We know that he's a defensive player.
Right.
Right? But there's no developing a defensive. If you're already good, we just need you to sharpen those defensive skills. But on the offensive end, we need you to actually develop. That's what we're talking about.
That's fair enough. I agree.
Okay. Did you have anything that you wanted to say, and just how the matchup was between him and Reece Shea? I know I had tweeted out yesterday that they both didn't play well, but you feel like he got the best of him, obviously, because Reece Shea didn't really do much of anything. He played like straight shit.
I mean, the both of them two. I mean, Reece Shea finished out with 4. Sarr finished out with 7. I mean, everybody we knew that this draft class wasn't spectacular, and if it was next year, Reece Shea would not have been the number 1 pick. He's a project. He's going to be a work in progress, just as well as Sarr. I think Sarr's potential, but they both have high potential. But I'm glad that we didn't get Reece Shea. I was looking at him, and I just didn't. I wasn't impressed with him last night. I just don't know what to say, man. I mean, he just didn't look that great last night, but he didn't look good at all. And Sarr, it was just it's going to be a work in progress. But I wanted to touch on when it come down to Bub, because I don't know if you saw it. I saw somebody on Wizards Twitter I think it was Stephen Riley, shout out to him, has said that he sees Bub as more like a Jamal Crawford type of player. So when we think of Jamal Crawford, that's six man. What is your opinion on Bub Carrington? How do you view him?
I mean, I love Bub. What do I think he's like instant offense? He can be. Like a Jamal Crawford, he can be. But I think he's a starter. I don't think he's a six man. I think he's a starter.
Okay.
And I think that any team would love to have him because right now he's leading all rookies in points per game. I think you may have seen that Chase Hughes stat that he posted. And I think he's leading everybody. He's at 8.7. I think he was around 9 before, but anyway, he's average 9 right now. Let's put it that way. He's at average 9. And to me, that is only going to go up because he's going to get more reps. He's going to get more playing time, and my thing is when it pertains to Bub, like I said, he makes plays. And I think the biggest, here's the biggest thing I love about Bub's game is that in the half court, he's so underrated as far as basketball IQ in the half court, because he makes the right play every time. It may not work every time, but he makes the right play every time. It's like him and Keyshawn George. Keyshawn George, I've already told you, he plays very, very well off the ball. But he doesn't make too many mistakes either.
No.
Both of these guys' basketball IQ is very, very underrated. And I would say that they play like true professionals, even only it being their third game in. I don't really see too many flaws. It's one thing to have you just need more experience. I think that's what I'm seeing from these guys. They just need more experience. But right now I'm seeing very little flaws in their game.
Right. Okay, that's fair enough. Man, I don't really have too much to say on that. You covered everything with regarding to that. So you had another question for me, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and roll into the next question. Is Keith doing a good job balancing playing time between the vets and the young guys? What you think?
Yeah, I actually do believe he is doing a very good job of balancing the minutes. I can actually say that the prisoners are not controlling the asylum anymore. I mean, Bulletproof played 40 minutes, Sarr 27, Valanciunas 22, Poole 33, Bilal 37, George 22, Kispert 35, Carrington 21. I mean, if Wes was the coach, the young guys wouldn't even crack 20 minutes.
Oh man, say that one more time. Say that one more time for the fan base.
Let me say it. If Wes was the coach, the young guys wouldn't even crack 20 minutes. I don't care what crack you thinking of, butt crack on the street, crack 20 minutes. They wouldn't do it. So I would say the time management with the players, Keith is doing a phenomenal job. Keep it up. That's all I want. Keep it going. Don't change anything. I don't give a shit about the wins. I don't give a shit about the losses. Keep it consistent. Let these guys make mistakes. Let them build up their confidence. Keep it going. That's how these kids get better. When you start pulling them out and pulling them out when they make a mistake, get to the point where one, like let's say, for example, Sarr, he played 27. No, I ain't even going to say Sarr. I'm going to say Bilal. He played 37 minutes. You know what West would have done the next game? Play him 15. I mean, come on. Don't do that. So I'm loving what Keith is doing. Let these kids play consistent minutes. And I was just looking at Bilal as you was talking. You know, the kid is putting up 16 points while shooting 50% from the field. And he's averaging 34 minutes.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to say it one more time. If this was Wes, he wouldn't crack that amount of minutes. he wouldn't crack 20. This dude is playing 34 minutes, man. 34
Yep.
minutes, and this is his second year.
Yep.
Keep it going.
A 20-year-old playing 34 minutes a game, averaging about 10 field goal attempts a game. You know, we said we wanted him to shoot more. He's doing it, and look what's happening. He's shooting 50% from the field. Again, it's only 3 games in, but you want this average all year long. This is the average that you want from Bilal. But yeah, let me go over the minutes averages. So Bilal's at 34. He's averaging the most minutes per game played out of everyone else on the team. Kyle Kuzma's at 30. Jordan Poole's at about 30. Kispert's at about 28 minutes a game. Alex Sarr's at 20, about 25. Bub's at 24. Keyshawn's at 20, about 23. Jonas is at 22, 21. And then Jared Butler plays about 10 minutes. And I have to just say this. You hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, if this was Wes Unseld Jr. Now, granted, yes, we don't have a lot of vets, but we don't. I would automatically tell you right now that if Wes was the coach on this team, Patrick Baldwin Jr. would probably be averaging about 20 minutes over Keyshawn George, over over Keyshawn, over Bub, over all the young guys.
You said PBJ?
I said PBJ
I
would be
think more
averaging
so
about
Anthony
20
Gill.
minutes. I mean, the reason, look, we know Anthony Gill would definitely get burned. I don't even need to say that. But I was working my way down there. Anthony Gill, same thing. He's only averaging 3 minutes right now. But under Wes Unseld Jr., he would have been around 15, 20 minutes, no doubt. There would have been other vets that we would have played in front of these guys for sure.
Exactly.
So I mean, Keith right now, he has to get credit for a great balancing act, a great balancing job, with between the vets and the young guys. And even when it came down to Jonas, he's coming off the bench. He's not starting. You know, I think he start? He didn't start last night, did he? I know he started one game. I don't know if it was last night.
He did start last night.
Okay. He did start last night. Okay, so last night was his first start.
Yeah.
But you get my point. The point is I mean, he started and he's still only at a 21 minute average. We want to showcase exactly what we have for these guys and what we plan to do for these guys. I think that's the biggest takeaway so far in three short games under Brian Keefe. He really wants to put these young guys on full display because we have a future. Mm-hmm. They can play. That's the thing. These guys are straight ballers. That game last night, I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, my dude, and I'm like, wow. These guys, I don't really think they really missing a beat.
No.
I think more so as time goes on, you're just going to see these scoring averages go up. You're going to see these minutes go up. You're going to see these attempts go up. I'm just excited about what the future holds for this team, man. I really am.
All right, so I got a question for you, but I'm gonna save it after I ask your opinion about tomorrow night's game. So we're playing the Hawks again. We're playing them at home. Bulletproof is not playing. He's already been ruled out. What are your expectations for tomorrow night's matchup?
So before last night's game, I said we would lose last night. I was asked this by our fellow brother Brandon Scott over at Locked On Wizards. Shout out to Brandon Scott and shout out to Locked On Wizards. But I said, you know, we're gonna lose last night's game, and then we're gonna come around, we're gonna turn around at home, and we probably just gonna get blown out at home. But that was before last night's game. After watching last night's game, I may just go back on that assessment. I like what I saw. If we play even close to how we played last night, I could see us coming away with another win. And I could actually see us running away with it at home if we
Right.
play anything like what we played last night. I mean, you got to think SAR's energy may be a little bit different.
Right.
You know, he wants to prove to the Hawks, you know, I ain't no scrub. I can hoop. Like
Yeah.
y'all thought I wasn't this type of player. I'm better than the guy you drafted.
Right.
So he could come out with you know, some different energy. And then I think you know, Bub, if we are continuing to run sets and play this up tempo, high pace offense, you know, you're gonna get some of these other young guys involved. Bub may have I want to say it, a pretty good game, breakout game, maybe. Is that in the cards somewhere?
Yeah. I think it's in the cards for any of these guys to have a
Any
breakout
of these
game.
guys, exactly. That's
Any
kind of
of
what
these
I'm getting at.
guys.
That's what
So
I'm getting at.
earlier, I was thinking, early today, I was just thinking to myself, and I said, you know, man, with the last two drafts. So last year we had got Bilal and we got Vooch. We haven't seen Vooch play this season, but you know he's probably going to split time between the Wizards and Capo de Seagulls, as expected. And then of course we have this year's past draft. So far Dawkins is cooking. But I sat there and I thought to myself, I said, you know what, man? And I hate to bring this up, but Ernie Grunfeld could have been probably one of the best general managers this franchise has ever had. And let me explain why. Because I'm going to talk about what if he didn't do this. Yeah, sit back. So, what if Ernie Grunfeld never traded the 5th pick in 2009 and we drafted Steph Curry? The following year, you draft John Wall. Then in 2011, you didn't draft Jan Vesley, but you draft Kawhi Leonard. You didn't draft Chris Singleton, but you draft Jimmy Butler. Let's say we probably trade out of that 2012 draft. So you don't pick up Bradley Beal. But then we go into 2013, and instead of you drafting Otto, you draft Giannis. My question to you is, how many championships we would have won from the 2010s to 2020 with that roster I just mentioned? If Ernie Grunfeld had just did all that stuff I just said.
Lord, I mean, at least 3 or 4. At least 3 or 4. I would say that because LeBron left the East in 2018, 2018 or 2017.
Yeah, no, 2020. They won the championship. Was it 20? Was it 29?
No, he left the East in like 2018, though. I think he's been with the Lakers for like 6 or 7 years.
What year did Kobe retire? Because he came after Kobe.
2015.
Okay.
20. Look, the reason why I say,
was it a year after after the Cavaliers won that championship in 2016 when he came over there, or what? We'll have to look it up, but continue.
Yeah. So the reason why I say this is obviously because LeBron had his reign in the East for a while before, you know, obviously he went West, but and there wasn't a lot of you know, people said the East was weak. You had a 10-year span where people were constantly making the argument, well, of course LeBron's running through the East because the East don't have, you know, they don't have legitimate teams that's going to go up against him every year. You know, you had the likes of young PG, you had Melo, you had all these other teams in the East at that time, right? If the Wizards had drafted any of these guys coming up, you know, we would have been in title talks somewhere around 2014, 2015. And I think that was around the time Steph went to his first finals. So basically, what Golden State did is what the Wizards would have been able to do in the East. And I think that instead of us seeing Bron and Steph in the finals going against each other, you would have seen Bron and Steph in the Eastern Conference Finals going against each other for years. And then whoever came out of that would have been the victor in the finals, because I mean, you would have had what, OKC at one time. Who else did the Warriors have to play to get to the finals? You know,
Uh,
Clippers, I guess.
yeah, the Clippers. Yeah.
You know, we would have still been the best team if you had if Ernie Grunfeld had drafted
Houston.
all those players. Yeah, exactly. Come on,
So
man. Like, what
so
we talking?
so just let me ask you this: with that team I just mentioned, does LeBron James run through the East, whether he was with the Heat or the Cavaliers during that time period? Does he run through the East like that? Does he even run through the Wizards with
No,
that roster? Okay, that's all I
no,
need to
hell
know.
no, hell
Would
no.
that have made Ernie Grunfeld probably one of the greatest general managers had he done that?
Oh, for sure,
Now, the
man.
reason why
If
I
he,
said that is because of I'm not trying to put him there, but I'm liking what Will Dawkins is doing right now. Okay,
Mhm.
there's really no complaints with the picks that he's made. Of course, I know that you kind of half and half when it comes down to trading Denny and getting the 13th pick to get Bub. It was done. I don't know if we could have ever got that 13th pick if it wasn't for Denny. I don't know. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from Dawkins. So here we come into the 2025 draft. The expectation is you're going to get yourself another player or two to go along with what we already have. My point is that we got a general manager who's not doing the things that Ernie Grunfeld had done. Had Ernie Grunfeld did all that I said, we would be having a totally different conversation. But because he did
100%.
that, we're sitting here talking about what Will Dawkins is doing because now we have a general manager that knows what the fuck he's doing for a change.
100%. I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with what you're saying at all. I mean, you draft those caliber of players, you're bound to eventually be one of the better teams, if not the best team, in that conference because of the players that you're drafting.
Right.
Right now, Bub and Bilal and Keyshawn and Sar, they're gonna fly under the radar in Washington for a very long time. And I would say even when we start to improve, they're still gonna fly under the radar because not a lot of teams were looking out for these guys. They weren't really checking for these guys, right? So these guys have to make names for themselves, and they're gonna have to do it on different levels. The first level is making a name for yourself in Washington.
Yeah.
Getting the fan base to really get behind you. And this is primarily why I stress, SAR's development and why I stress, loving Bub's ability to be able to do what he's doing in the half court. We're falling in love with these ideas because we really want to see these players do well. We want to see them, succeed. So, yes, there's little expectations, but they're not huge expectations. You understand what I'm saying? Just meet the little expectations first. And then as time goes on, you start getting notoriety, you start getting national attention. We're on more national TV games. You're going to start seeing more Bub jerseys in the arena, more SAR jerseys in the arena. You start getting to that pinnacle, you start getting to that level, then it's like, man, Dawkins and these guys really knocked it out the park with these players. And even then, they're still going to be flying under the radar. That's the crazy thing. Because the league, they just wasn't prepared for the Wizards to be good with these type or these caliber of players. Let's call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Bub was projected to go later than 14. That's the thing. People forget that. Keyshawn, I don't even think was supposed to be drafted by the Wizards.
No.
Keyshawn was projected to go elsewhere.
Right.
So I say all that to say, and then we'll wrap this up here shortly. I say all that to say, good job, Will Dawkins. I'm giving you A minus on your draft. We want to see all these things come together and grow together, and hopefully, at least two of these players can pan out to be all stars or superstars for us.
Okay. That's fair enough. So, last thing, of course, You mentioned them earlier. So PBJ and, of course, jersey number 1, they didn't get an extension. What does that mean to you? Does that mean that their time as Wizards will be over soon? Like very soon? What do you think?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. It's the next trade train smoking. Choo choo. One of those guys gonna be on it. They're gonna be on it.
Right. So they're gonna
I
be
mean,
down there at Union Station, huh?
they're gonna be at Union Station, bro. They're gonna be at Union Station. I mean, it's we really appreciate their time here, but we got bigger things to look at and bigger fish to fry, and I'm not gonna be too hard on them because I know that part of them being here wasn't really their fault. I mean,
Right.
PBJ was a part of a deal here.
Yeah.
I think people expected more out of him when he got here, and he just wasn't that caliber of player to begin with. And then, of course, Johnny Davis, man, like I don't even know what to say about that pick. We drafted you because you could draw up a play. Congratulations.
We had Taco Bell is hiring.
Like it still makes me laugh. Like that was the answer. Like, why did you draft Johnny Davis? Well, we drafted him because he could draw up a play. He was a master at the whiteboard. Man, you should have seen the way he was scribbling on that whiteboard. Woo, boy. He used the red marker. He used the black one. Hell, he used the marker I ain't even see that we had.
Yeah.
The boy is special.
And the person behind that is currently unemployed.
Correct.
I mean, if you drafting a player just because they know how to draw up a play, you don't deserve a paycheck. That's a damn shame.
Oh man.
I you already know how I feel about that guy. It's no need to even talk about him. I don't even mention his name. I just talk about his jersey. And I just, again, Taco Bell is hiring. That's all I can say. Taco Bell is motherfucking hiring.
All right, my dude. Well, that wraps up this episode of State of the Wizards. I want to thank you and thank the fans for tuning in to this episode 46. We're going to catch you on the next episode. We ramping up, man, as you see. We'll catch you on the next one. Y'all have a good night.
Peace.